If you could interrupt the cycle, the chaos, the anger, or even the frustration that your child displays, would you do it? And would you be brave enough to reflect on where it comes from? This week, we're talking the simple system that can help you remain calm and reassert your authority without shaming your kids. But to do this, you're going to need to reflect on the way that you respond and behave under pressure and how they see you. Welcome back. This is Answer Me This, part of the Fatherhood in Focus podcast. I'm Aidan, dad, host, and founder of the Modern Fatherhood Club. Every week, I'm going to ask you one uncomfortable question, not to shame you, but to sharpen you. Because this is about legacy, impact, and the man that your kids actually see when you walk into the room. Because the world is happy for you to just cope. We're here to help you choose. Choose how you show up, how you lead, and how you love. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe and follow the show. And if you haven't done so already, head to themodernfatherhoodclub.com and grab some of our free resources. They're built to support you from those early messy days right through to the years when they're screaming at you from across the room. All right, take a breath. This week's question is going to test you. Let's get into it. So this week we're talking how you respond under pressure and how they see you. Because what you display in the heat of the moment, well, it shapes their response under pressure, how they treat others, and who and what they respect. So I'm going to take a step back. Last episode, I touched on a challenging time for us as a family. In 2024, Henry's confidence took a massive hit. His autonomy, self-respect, and self-worth, it took a beating. What felt like a small knock, well, it turned into a seismic shift in his personality. His willingness to follow any sort of structure or rules, it disappeared. His respect for authority dissolved, and he turned from a happy, smiley little dude who could brighten up a room with his infectious smile and laughter into an unpredictable volcano of anger and frustration who could explode over even the smallest of things. As parents, we were lost, confused, and treading on eggshells. His eating changed. His sleep changed. The way he spoke changed. What he said changed. His laughter, it was gone. What we were left with was a shell of a little boy who had brightened up our whole existence. As parents, well, we had nowhere to turn. Our support network, they didn't understand. Work, they didn't understand either. We were living under a cloud, one we were desperate to fix, but one, if I'm honest, we couldn't clear. We tried everything, and I don't say this lightly. We became prisoners in our own home, prisoners at bedtime, mealtime, and any time we needed him to do anything. I thought 2020 would shape our family, but this period was something that would go on to shape the way we interacted with one another, with Henry, and even with Max. For the longest time, we battled to keep our baby boy from spiraling out of control. And we sought support for him and for us. And at my lowest point, I made a beeline for mental health support. Not because I didn't believe that I couldn't battle back, but because I needed an outlet. Life had become so different, and it was becoming easier and easier to isolate and cut myself off. As a family, we were just in this dark place. And many families go through these darker times, often alone and unsupported. So if you are going through darker times, reach out, get support, Speak to your local mental health support charity. Find resources that make it easier, because you can break through, you can fight back. You can bring your family closer together, but you cannot lose sight of what's important, because your family needs you, your partner needs you, your children need you, and together you need one another. There were moments during this time when battle lines were drawn. We lost our cool, we lost the plot. Not because we wanted to, but because as parents under strain, you're subjected to an assault on the senses, and battle weary, while you struggle to stay composed, calm, or even influenced from that position of authority where your love is on show despite your tone. I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of how I reacted. But as parents, we're often only able to take so much before we explode. And it's the explosion that can rewrite the way your children see you. It can rewire everything you fought to keep alive. It can rewrite your family's future. If you faced a similar challenge, how would you respond? Would you be able to keep calm under the relentless pressure? Would you be able to interrupt the cycle, reset, and become that calming presence that they need to see? Sometimes we don't know what we don't know. But today, you might be in the trenches, fighting battles you never expected, trying to stay calm because you know that's what they need to see. But like me, your patience is only going to go so far. Not because you're a bad dad, or because you're unable to stay in control. It's because we're only able to tolerate so much before it finally breaks us down. Look, we're human. I knew what my son needed during this tough time. I knew he needed to feel safe, loved, and feel no shame. But deep down, his words cut through me time and time again. Resilience is one thing in the face of adversity. But when your child is fighting you on every front, it drains your energy, resources, and it eats away at your own self-worth and erodes the strength that you have. So if you're going through a tough time with your son or daughter and it feels like there is no escape, know this: it will come good, it will pass, and you will come out of it stronger. But you're gonna need to look after yourself and your partner, because when those battle lines are drawn, one thing your child needs to see is unity. They need to see the love between you and mum, the respect you have for one another, the fact that no matter what is said, that you're still a team and that you're not going anywhere. At times, I felt like a failure. I didn't know where to turn or what to try. Everything I tried seemed to fail. But it was the words that cut deepest. I hate you. I don't want to be alive anymore. I want to leave. He was volatile. Never physical, but the screaming. Explosion after explosion. Rage like I've never seen. It never felt like a phase. At times it felt like, this is it. Or how has it come to this? The words he used demanded our attention. His flare-ups were frequent and over the smallest things. This wasn't just a fight against authority or rules. This was a fight to escape, not us. But the pain that event in 2024 had caused him. It wasn't the operation that he'd had on his hand following the incident at school. It was the fear that he experienced as mum had to stay behind before going into the operating theatre. And that fear, it turned to rage, a relentless rage that almost tore us all apart. His flare-up and the words he used, they hit hard. They burn a hole right through you. They hurt. But what really set me off in those times, it was the way he spoke to my wife. His anger demanded my attention. What he wanted, though, it wasn't authority or discipline. He wanted a response. He wanted to feel safe, loved, and worthy. He didn't want to be overcome by fear. He wanted to be heard but couldn't express it. He wanted to be held, but he'd push you away. He wanted autonomy, but he wouldn't leave our side. The challenge we face as modern parents is staying calm when your senses and emotional responses are under attack. I'm an 80s kid. If I said what he'd said to me or my wife, my dad would have laid that smack down on me and I wouldn't have walked for weeks. And this is where we're truly tested. Because in the heat of battle, we're reacting to a symptom. His words sting. They cut when he lashed out. And he only ever apologized when his anger had been met with my own fire. He only ever apologized when he'd had time to breathe or when he'd raged himself out and was mentally drained. It was those moments of vulnerability when you realize how powerful they are, but at the same time, how small they are. It's when you realize that you're in control of how you manage the fallout. And these are the moments where we learn, where we adapt, where we need to bring them closer and not push them away. The question that I have for you, though, is this. If you've ever experienced a battle that feels like it's pushing you to your limits, how did you respond? Did you fight fire with fire? Did you completely lose your shit? Did you say something that you can never take back? Regardless of how you handle it, you're a human being. So the bigger question is this. Can you stay honest when their honesty hurts? Because in those moments when Henry was screaming at us from the top of the stairs, or in the morning as we tried to get the schoolwork done, or if I took him off during a football match, he was giving us raw, unfiltered emotion that he had no idea how to regulate. It was messy, it was ugly, it was on show for everyone to see. My parents, friends, my wife's parents, but it was real. In the early days, we were so lost, confused, and as the battles raged on and on, I had nothing left. Nothing left to give, nothing left in the tank. All I had to give him was love. And at times, it felt like I was begging him to climb down and fall apart in my arms. And the truth is, when his honesty hit hard and burned through my patience and calmness, I met fire with fire. I'm ashamed of the way I responded. I know I could have managed it better. I know deep down that he was hurting more when I responded poorly. And I know that his response only intensified if I shouted or responded with honesty. Honesty about the way I felt and the way that he made me feel. The truth hurts. But your emotional response is what's shaping how they regulate. And that's why when we were at our lowest point as a family, we needed help. We needed space to talk. We needed a moment to breathe. And he needed to see and hear us be vulnerable. So the question I have for you is this. Do you meet it with honesty or with your anger? Or do you have the composure to say, those words hurt me, I love you, but I won't let you speak to me in that way or speak that way to mum? Or do you snap and apologise later? You see, honesty, it's not about telling the truth. It's about showing them how truth can land without destroying connection. If you're like me, and despite your best intentions, you know your patience only stretches so far, when they lash out, when their words cut deep, what would it look like for you to hold the line with calm, grounded honesty instead of fire? And what would they learn about themselves if they saw that Dad was able to absorb the storm and remain present? Because that's the true test. That's where honesty as a value either becomes a weapon in your home or a shield that protects the whole family. Look, I'd be lying to you if I said I had the perfect system. I don't. These episodes are designed to get you thinking, reflecting, and adapting to the pressures that you face. Anybody that tells you That as your child gets older, times get easier? They're lying. The challenges just change. Your child is growing. They're facing their own challenges. They're learning about fear. They're learning to regulate. They're learning who they are in this big wide world. What I learned from this experience is this, and this won't apply to every scenario, but as this experience for us passed, his fear subsided. He matured. He softened. He recognized when things were getting on top of him. But what really happened was this. As parents, we grew stronger. When we met honesty with his honesty, it chipped away at our calmness. When he lashed out at her, the red washed over me and I was quick to explode in response to the words that he used. But when we paused and we chose how we responded, the situation was so much less volatile. He'd still explode, but the anger would dissipate quickly. He'd return with an apology. He'd even try to articulate what he was feeling. Because these moments, they're designed to test you. But our reaction is what shapes their response and their relationship with anger and spite. 2024 was the hardest year of our family's journey. And during this testing time, we fought, we laughed, we cried, we screamed. We were on the very edge of falling apart. But we never stopped loving our boy. We never stopped loving one another. Did we love ourselves? I'm not sure. Were we proud of the way that we parented? I don't think so. Were we alone on that battlefield? Yeah. See, people distance themselves from what they don't understand. They choose when they show up. They choose to dip in and dip out quickly when the times are tough. But as a family, we fought to stay together. We fought for Henry and to help him find his way back to that happy, confident little boy we knew was underneath the surface. What he wants more than anything is to feel loved. When he's scared, nervous, frightened or frustrated, he lashes out and he closes off. Our job as parents in these testing times is to help them to just breathe in their own skin, to let them know that it is okay in the chaos to just say, I need you, mummy. I need you, daddy. It's clear that as a 7, almost 8-year-old, my son found it hard to express himself. His frustration quickly turned to anger, and his early default was to lash out. But when we absorbed instead of responding, when we took a step back from the situation and let him rage himself out, well, it started to click. He'd see calmness and not fire. He'd hear nothing until he was ready to talk. We wouldn't fire back, but we would hold our ground. Because shouting shuts off the mind. That means those feelings remain unfiltered and raw. And that means we can't hear one another or recognize that what we both need to feel is love. The biggest lesson I take from this testing time, my son's anger, it wasn't defiance. It was fear in disguise. And when fear has no words, well, it comes out like fire. As parents, our job is to teach them how to breathe inside their own storm. You have to teach them how to respect and respond to that fear. The choices you make on that battlefield are simple. Do you teach them to explode and wound, or do you teach them to pause, feel it, and then still choose love? That's what our children need to see and learn. This isn't just about words. This is about state. Your state in the chaos and how you're capable of remaining calm despite the harshness of the interaction and the words used. So I've got a challenge for you, but you can't do it until you write this out. I want you to write a powerful statement, one that grounds you and them in those moments. So when the chaos is all around you and you're about to flip from calm to fire, try something like this. Address them by name. I hear you. I love you. I'll always love you. This is your home. This is the place where you get to let it all out. It doesn't matter what it is, and right now it doesn't matter what you say. You're safe, you're loved, and I'm here, and I'm ready to listen. And then during that next explosion or next moment when all hell breaks loose, I want you to stand still in that fire. Not suppress, not explode. Stand still. Step back from the chaos. Breathe once. Tell them clearly and calmly, I hear you. I love you. I'll always love you. This is your home. This is the place where you can let it all out. It doesn't matter what it is. And right now, it doesn't matter what you say. You're safe. You're loved. And I'm here. And I'm ready to listen. And if you're ready now, let's take a breath together. That one moment, if you can hold it, it changes everything. Because now honesty doesn't just mean saying what's true. It means showing them, even in that storm, you're safe with me. So I've shared an example, and I want you to write your own out. So when that next outburst comes, you know that exact sentence that's going to come out of your mouth. Because you're choosing honesty over anger. And this, well, it's honesty with love wrapped around it. And if they've heard it enough times, it stops being just words. It becomes their inner voice. And instead of lashing out, they'll pause. And here I'm safe. I can express I'm loved. That, my friend, is legacy. That's how what we value becomes part of what we live. Not just to you and them, but maybe even future generations. And here's the real test. Can you deliver that sentence even when you're tired, raw, and triggered? Because it's easy when you're calm. The real test was when you're running on empty. So let's make it real. If they hit you with those sharp words tonight, after the hardest day you've had in months, can you meet them with that sentence? And if not, what's the trigger plan you need to prepare now so that you don't default to anger? For me, it's the step back, it's the pause. That's the weapon. The step back is the reset. Only then can the words become the anchor. And this is what I had to learn the hard way after many, many battles. Our children, they won't remember every time that you lost your cool. But they will remember if you had the strength to stop, breathe, and choose love when it mattered most. Building in that pause, that pattern interrupt, well, that's the difference between repeating the old ways and leading from a position that shapes who they become. But look, there's one final thing you need to wire in so that when times are hard, you choose to interrupt rather than leap into battle head first. You need to understand the physical change. When the fire rises, how do you feel physically? Is it a tightness in here, in the chest? Is it a clenching of the fist? Is it the pressure as it builds across the forehead and the shoulders? Name it. Because the physical change in state can be the trigger to help you step back. You must learn to replace it with something else. For me, it's a physical step back, a deep breath. I close my eyes. Because the moment I interrupt that physical feeling of anger, that single deep breath with my eyes closed, that buys me time. It builds space between the reaction and the response. By choosing to respond differently, regardless of the pressure you feel or the fire that's coming your way, you're choosing honesty and integrity. And that's the moment when they learn. They learn that my dad can stay calm in this storm, so can I. I believe if we focus on this, then we create an environment where the smile returns, where the love is felt, and where our children, and importantly us, feel safe. So take a moment to reflect on that last battle. Take a long, hard look at yourself next time you lose your cool. Who are they seeing? What are they returning with? This is what fatherhood is about. Honesty isn't tell the truth or else. Honesty is truth with safety. It's modeling that you can feel a storm and still choose how you respond. And when we choose to regulate our response, respect within the home resets. If you're facing up to tough times and you're listening to this, you're not alone. Know that others are facing up to hard times too. Know that you're doing your best. Know that the support is there. A voice of calm, a different perspective, a space you can validate what you feel. That's why the Modern Fatherhood Club exists. So before we finish, here's the simple system to help you navigate those stormy, chaotic moments. Pause, close your eyes and take one deep breath. Step back if you need to. This approach, well, it's going to buy you time and it buys you choice. And then protect. Say it loud and clear. I hear you. I love you. I'll always love you. In that moment of pause, you're regulating together and you're teaching through your response. And then I want you to place, name the boundary. Anger is allowed, but hurting others through your words isn't. So try again. Tell me what's wrong and remember to be calm, be firm, short, and don't over-explain. And then process. When the next wave passes, ask, what were you feeling and what did you need? This is your chance to help them articulate what they feel. Keep it short. Let them express themselves. Let them find the words. Then finally, repair. Own your part. If you flared up and lost your cool, let them know. I got heated. I'm sorry. I love you. Seal it with a hug, strong eye contact. Let them see that Dad is human. Let them feel your love. Thank you for listening. I wanted to share this challenge because you might be going through something similar and you might not yet see the end. But there is light. There is an opportunity to save your son or daughter from spiraling. But you do need to give it everything you have. Even when your energy is low and it feels like you're on the very edge of losing your shit. If you take anything away from today, write out your one-liner and use it. Don't just verbalize it now. Write it down, disrupt yourself and see the difference. So there was loads to go out in that episode and I hope that I shared it from a position of vulnerability and honesty because fatherhood is tough. You're going to take on loads of pressure. There's going to be loads of different challenges that you're going to face as a family, individually, and your kids are at the center of it all. It could be personal challenge, it could be family challenge, it could be challenges that they're going through. The key thing is you've got to keep your head, you've got to stay calm as best you can. You've got to learn from your mistakes. And that's why the Modern Fatherhood Club exists. We're here to support you on that journey. We're here to share stories that matter. We're here to make sure that you have the resources that help you stay calm and help you recognize the impact that you're having in any moment, because your influence on them grows every single day. You shape lives, and that's powerful. Thank you for listening. I'm Aidan. This has been Answer Me This, part of the Fatherhood in Focus podcast. And if you ever need support, send us an email, drop us a message, and let us know what challenges you're facing and how we might be able to help you.